Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 1998 Winnebago Chieftain. Behind me is a 5.9 liter Cummins inline 6, and down below is a 6-speed Allison transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Winnebago because it's a Winnebago. I've never driven an RV nor reviewed an RV here on the channel, and so today we are going to break the silence of the recreational vehicle here on the Shooting Cars channel and give this truck a solid review. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zachpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and hey, if you got a Winnebago yourself, why don't you submit it? Might be a little fun. Let's get back to that 5.9 liter turbo Cummins straight 6 that is all the way at the back. From where I'm sitting, it's about 34 feet away from me. I couldn't catch COVID from it if I tried. It's a solid workhorse engine. However, it isn't the only engine that was offered here in this year for the Winnebago Chieftain. There was actually 3 chassis available. This is the 5.9 liter Cummins, which was the Freightliner chassis. But you could also get a 7.4 liter Vortex V8 from Chevy or a 6.8 liter V8 from Ford. Now, this makes 10 more horsepower than the Chevy, but it actually makes the same amount of horsepower that the Ford would put out. This is diesel, the Ford would have been gas, and the gas engines were actually up front, where this is down at the back. Now, you're not seeing much on camera because there's really not much to show up. You actually have to remove the rear bed that we'll talk about in order to see the engine itself, so you'll just have to trust me that it's down there. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed Allison transmission. It is a very heavy-duty transmission, and I've actually driven several heavy-duty vehicles with this transmission. I've always liked it. It's the same push-button style that you'll find in other heavy-duty trucks, and it's nice to see. Last but not least, this is rear-wheel drive, although it is a dually at the back with some big, beefy axles. How does it feel to drive a Winnebago? It is insanely daunting. More daunting than the 18-wheeler that I drove because the sides are completely flat, and this is so much wider than a regular semi. So you think that you're staring at the double yellow line and, oh, it should go into the corner of the windshield like it does in every other car. That's not the case. You have a very flat side to you, and so you need to hug the inside line as best you can. It's very surreal. However, the actual mechanics of it are very easy. The steering is nice and light. The brakes are super touchy and work very, very well. And so the actual dynamics of it are fine, but it's just the size. You gotta get used to it. Spend some time doing it before you take it out on the open road. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer, off to the right is my speedometer, and down at the bottom, we get the fuel, coolant temperature, our air pressure, oil pressure, and battery voltage. The steering wheel is out of a Freightliner, as you can tell by the center logo. This is a Freightliner. And off to the left, we have the auxiliary start, fog lamps, our wipers, mirrors, and exhaust brake on and off. Even further off to the left, we have the shifter. Like I said, this is push button shifter for park. You just put it into neutral and then you pull on the parking brake that we'll talk about in a second. Down below that, we do get some air vents and the slide out control switch, which again, we'll talk about when we talk about the rear. On the door, I have a crank window and a latch to get in and out. That's right, I never knew that some RVs do have a door next to the driver that you can climb up and use. Very, very cool. Again, something I never knew. Moving back over to the right, we have a backup camera that is black and white. I have never seen a black and white camera in a car that I've reviewed. This is totally cool. It is pretty helpful. However, you're still relying on your mirrors pretty heavily. Down below that, we have an aftermarket radio. Gotta modernize that. And we have our heating and air conditioning options for up front here, a little 12-volt outlet, and off to the right we have our auxiliary radio power, auxiliary battery, generator, and auxiliary fans, as well as some tacked on temperature and clock readings. Moving down below, this is our yellow parking brake. This is the air brakes that you pull in order to set the park. Like I said, there is no park gear, and of course the turn key for the ignition. And we do get a center console with cup holders that do in fact pass the big friggin' bottle test. Off to the rest of the right, we have so much space over here. We get a giant storage cubby as well as slide out table. We get a Chieftain badge, some more vents, and we do get a passenger seat, which I can't even touch from the driver's seat. Pretty wild there. Now, the seats are comfortable. They do have a little bit of suspension to themselves as well, which helps even out the ride just a little bit more. And they're comfortable. I could easily imagine soaking up thousands and thousands of miles in one of these bad boys, and the owner, Mike, has. So, he doesn't have back problems, and I trust his word. However, speaking of seats, we have plenty more options for seating when we take a tour of the back, so let's go do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's start the tour. I do want to say that I am doing this tour. It's a little uneven ground where I am, but this actually does slide out, I think about 18 inches to add more space, and I'm showing footage on screen now of that process. This is called a push out or a slide out, and so you could option these either with a slide out or without a slide out. This one happens to have it, which is definitely very cool. Once you are at the campsite on some level ground, you can add a lot more space. But moving back in here, so just so you know, this is the minimum amount of space that you'll have. This couch has been redone. Tons of storage up here. The seats have been redone. It's been modernized, like this backsplash and whatnot has been modernized because it's a 1998. I'll show some stock images. It was very, very 1998. But I do love this fact. You get two like little love seats and a little breakfast nook here with some cup holders, deep cup holders in case you take a turn or whatnot. Very, very cool to see that. Working sink here. This does have an onboard water tank. Very, very cool to see that. And here is the cooktop. Pull this up and you have your gas stove, microwave. We have a whole bunch of like hood options, diesel generator, things like that. More storage up here for some cups and glasses and things like that. And down here, you'll see these locks, these like little pin looking things. There's one there and there's one up front that helps hold the slide out in or unslid out. Little coffee maker and whatnot behind this little thing. This is very 90s to me. I grew up in a house that definitely had something like this, and a lot of friends' houses too. Fridge over here, AC and temperature settings and whatnot. We do have wall outlets all down the sides, which is very nice to see. And moving back here, we have the bathroom. So we do get a shower. This is a very good size shower. Hi, YouTube. You rarely see me holding the cameras in these shots. You'll notice that the soaps are in the sink, and you might think, oh, why'd do that? They would fly everywhere if they weren't. So you got to kind of anchor them down. But anyway, we get a little mirror here, and you can close this door and close this door. This moves like this to give you some privacy. Here's the bathroom, or here's the loo. There it is, a little skylight, little fan in there for making my stinkies. Very, very cool to see that. And this flooring has been redone along the way as well. Nice little closet here, and again, the shower in here with a nice skylight. Showering with a skylight must be top tier. And then here is the bedroom at the very back. So this is a queen bed. Have some shelving, some storage all the way up and around, and the inline 6 Cummins turbo diesel engine is under this bed. So you thought that there were monsters under your bed. It's actually just a Cummins straight 6. It's very cool standing all the way back here and realizing that this is one giant vehicle. I mean, pretty cool. This is the rear bed space of the Chieftain, but moving back up front here, tons of livable space. This is the 36 foot, which was one of the longest ones that you could get. They ranged really from like 32 to 36 foot, but very, very special. Just give you a couple last looks here. Wow. Pretty cool. Oh, and this is an updated TV. However, this did have a tube TV from the factory right up above the driver. So talk about dated. He's blocked that off with a new TV, but very, very cool. Now we got to talk about the looks, and it's a Winnebago. They've looked the same for quite some time, and this is going to be the longest walk-around section of any car I've ever reviewed because, well, this is the biggest car I've reviewed. This is a 36-foot Winnebago, and so there was no inch spared here. And it used to have very 90s striping going down it. I'll try to find a stock image to overlay here. The owner, Mike, modernized it a little bit. It was starting to look a little bit older, and so you got to do something about that. But I do love how RVs look. They're just so iconic when it comes to the American road trip, the American dream. They don't have RVs like this in other parts of the world, and so we are one of the only countries that has roads big enough and straight enough to handle automobiles like this. This is quite literally an apartment on wheels, and it looks the part. However, one last thing about the exterior. I know we've already been harping on it for too long, but these headlights, I believe, are Ford Windstar headlights. I love looking at RVs and trying to pick out where the headlights were sourced from. If you're familiar with some UPS trucks, they use Oldsmobile Alero headlights. I recently saw an RV that had Kia Soul taillights. It is one of my favorite pastimes when on a road trip is trying to figure out where the headlights and taillights came from, so that's your little tidbit for this video. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving my first RV, proper RV, let alone a Winnebago? Well, the Winnebago company was started out in Iowa in the 1950s. And Winnebago has soon become synonymous with RVs. And actually, if you're a Toyota fan, they originally built the cap on the back of the Toyota pickup that would later become the 4Runner. So, if you like the Toyota 4Runner, you have the Winnebago company to thank for that. But driving it, terrifies me. I need a lot more seat time to feel comfortable in one of these, and Mike, the owner, actually came with me and gave me some pointers while driving. It's a lot to handle. Don't think that if you can drive a Corolla, you can hop into one of these and set sail. It is going to be a rude awakening. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving pieces. Everything is far away from you. If you want your sun visor, you gotta stand up. You don't get that in a Chevy Beretta. But at the end of the day, you get to take your house with you. You get to take your family or closest friends with you to see the country, to see the world, and to experience things that you just don't get out of a hotel. Sure, there's no room service here in the Winnebago, but I would gladly trade that for waking up one morning in Arches National Park, cracking the windows, and seeing the beautiful landscape out front before I even had my morning coffee. I encourage everyone I meet to travel as much as possible. I've always said that. But if you can travel with people that mean a lot to you, it's all the better. Because with this, your family isn't just in the back seat. They're enjoying themselves and they get to enjoy the sights as much as possible. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Mike for letting me take out his Winnebago. He has an awesome YouTube channel, not only Jeeps on the Run, you guys have heard of that before, but he does have a channel dedicated to this RV and to traveling. I will leave up on the screen as well as linked in the description below. Please go check it out. If you have any more questions, you can direct them over to him. But huge thank you to Mike. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.